Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cinderella phenomenon in Rod's route. I forgot what chapter we're on. We're in chapter 7? I think we're in chapter 7. I don't know. So anyway, he's liking us a little bit more. Like, we're doing okay. We haven't gotten our second good deed, but we've gotten our first, so that's good. And we are just out trying to. I think we're trying to help him now. Like, we're trying to find out more about his curse, because he hasn't told anyone in his family, and he won't tell us, and he doesn't want to break it, and we think it has something to do with Ricola over here. So anyway, we were just having a chat with her, and now we're leaving. So that's where we were. I really hope that you're able to help Emmaline and Rod. I hope so, too. Did you see Ophelia the other day? I catch sight of two noblewomen sitting on a bench together not too far away from the toy shop. They're referring to Ophelia without her title. How disrespectful. Who would have thought a peasant like her could almost look like royalty? But her dress. As the queen, she ought to be wearing silks rather than satin. There's nothing wrong with either one. I do not know why, but I bristle at their comments. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but the fact that they're speaking so bluntly in public means that they have little worry of being overheard. I'm still not sure what the king saw in her. Well, you know what they say about ladies lacking natural beauty. Her talents must lie in other, more persuasive areas. She must have been very persuasive indeed if the king saw it worthwhile to marry her. As the two women laugh, I feel something hot begin to burn in my stomach. Viorca takes a sharp breath beside me. Since I became a maid in the palace, Ophelia has been nothing but kind to me, a mere servant. She has all the right to flaunt her status and title, yet she remains humble. We're gonna go, and we're gonna defend her, and we're gonna get the second piece of our fucking shoe! Yeah! I know that this is why everyone at the palace loves her. Oh, common women like her can only keep a man's attention for so long. I start walking toward them without thinking. Spacey, I wouldn't... You have no right to say those things about the queen. The two women are clearly surprised at my interruption. Both of them glare at me. And you have no right to eavesdrop on us. Eavesdropping? Anyone could have heard you. Their mouths fall open. One of the women looks at me for a long time, then sneers suddenly, as if something has occurred to her. I thought you looked familiar. You're the crown princess's personal maid. I see you always following her around when she's in town. This is none of your business, girl. Why do you care so much for our opinions? Perhaps it's because the girl idolizes the queen. Thinks she might go from rags to riches. What? Oh, you do have a point. They stand and advance toward me. Do you want the prince for yourself, girl? If a commoner can become the queen, it's not too difficult to imagine yourself as a princess, is it? How foolish. You're better off dreaming smaller dreams, girl. They laugh, and their irritation in my chest blazes into full-on anger. Is this what Ophelia has been dealing with for the past year? She's being treated so cruelly when she's done nothing but love the king. And I also ridiculed her just like this. I forced myself to look at the cruel woman as I moved my hands to the pendant hanging around my neck. I was just as cruel as them. I barely feel Viorca's hand as she rests it against my shoulder. Spacey, let it go. Her Majesty wouldn't want you to do this. But I can't just let these two women talk about Ophelia like this. I pull away from Viorca and stand firm. The queen has a good heart. She's far more noble than either of you could ever hope to be. I think back on the times I was cruel to her. Ophelia could have easily reprimanded me for my behavior. She had that right as my stepmother, yet she's been nothing but kind to me. Ophelia never got angry at me, even despite my treatment toward her and her family. She's always treated others with kindness, even when they're cruel to her. Judging from the bitterness in your accusations, it seems like you're jealous of her. How pathetic. The other woman marches toward me, and my free hand instinctively moves to hold her hand just before her palm reaches my cheek. I will not tolerate any insults toward the queen. A soft light emanates from the pendant, and I can only stare at it in shock. I got another good deed? By defending Ophelia? The woman snatches her hand away. It's really more like because you recognize what you did wrong. Not that you were defending her, you're like, you know what? You're assholes, and damn it, so was I. Grr! You realize your wrongdoing. You know? Probably a combination of both, but still. How dare a peasant like you talk that way to us? Have you no manners? I could ask you the same. What happened to yours? How dare you! Don't you know who we are, girl? I'll see you pay for your impertinence. Our words have far more weight than yours ever will. I'll go to the king myself and tell him about how rude you were. I can pass on that message myself. Oh, Rod. I was going to be him or Fritz. Like, it's one of them. Like, I turn and see Rod walking toward us, his expression cold. The two noblewomen hastily curtsy. Your Highness! The noblewomen turn pale as Rod's eyes fall on them. Actually, we have an important dinner engagement. Yes, we do. The two noblewomen curtsy before quickly departing. What are you doing here without your guards? What trouble have you gotten yourself into now? Be honest? Don't be honest? Be honest. We'll just be honest at this point. I don't know if that's good. Those women were insulting the queen. Thought a lecture was in order. Oh? But everyone's entitled to their own opinion. What? I narrow my eyes at him. Something like this can't be helped. Bad rumors are unavoidable. Rod looks away, his expression suddenly pained. This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't wished for... Rod never finishes the sentence. He clears his throat before looking at us again. What was he going to say? We shouldn't keep you from returning home, Viorka. I'll take Spacey back to the palace. Viorka's eyes narrow and she looks ready to say something. Sorry, sneeze in the middle of a sentence. But Rod has already reached out for my hand to pull me along behind him. Maybe he wished for true love, but then his mother ended up with true love, and he was like, damn it! That's not what I wanted. But my eyes narrow as I recognize the path we're on. That's not the way back to the palace. No, it isn't. We're going to the Marchen. Why? Because I was on my way there before I was forced to take a detour because someone was drawing attention to herself. What? But Rod ignores me and we walk the rest of the way to the Marchen in silence. Waltz is the only person in the reception room when we enter. Prince Rod. Princess? I can't quite get his voice down. I'm sorry. It's a little late for the two of you to be here. I had meant to be here earlier. Is Lady Parfait here? Waltz nods. I'll go get her. Wait here. As soon as Waltz leaves us alone, Rod turns to me, his expression rigid. Rod steps closer and grabs my shoulders. Oh! Hi. Oh. I wasn't able to say so earlier because we're out in public, but you should know just how much danger you're in now, and yet you thought it was okay to go around on your own? Oh, the bunny looks angry. It was my day off today. It's not unreasonable for me to want time for myself. Time to yourself. Don't you understand the meaning of be careful? Why would you do something as foolish as going out into town alone? Can't help but bristle at his tone. Why are you so angry? Because you're... Rod trails off and looks away. Because you're family. So you're finally acknowledging me as family. Oh, that's going to make our relationship really weird, but... I notice his cheeks turning red. To be honest, you're less of a family member and more just... important. Important? Because of all that you do for Emmaline. Yeah, you love us. You're important to my sister. He looks uncomfortable as he says the words, and I can't help but marvel at his embarrassment. Why is he so embarrassed? But Rod changes the topic as he turns away from me. Why were you with Viorka? I can only think of one reason you'd speak to her. My curse. You thought you'd find out about my curse through her? I shrug. I can only assume that your curse has something to do with Viorka. I look up when Rod says something, then stare at the curious sight before me. He's taken Sebi off his shoulder and is holding the doll in his hands away from his face. The two seem to be engaged in some silent conversation. Then gently Sebi speaks words I can hear.
This is the right thing to do. You need to let her help you, Rod.
But then we'll never have Sebi, and I'll miss Sebi. What's going to happen to him? He's so adorable. Rod bites down on his lower lip before briefly closing his eyes. Eventually, he returns Sebi to his usual spot on his shoulder and turns to me. Fine. You're stubborn and you're not going to quit investigating unless I tell you, are you? You're right. Viorka is the reason I was cursed. Rod sits down on the settee and lets out a heavy sigh. His eyes are far away as he speaks to me. I was in love with Viorka, but I wasn't brave enough to tell her. I just followed her around like some kind of puppy. I was, not I am. Maybe still is. One day Viorka hadn't come home, and it was raining very heavily, so I went out to look for her. Found her walking along the bank of the river. I called out to her to tell her to be careful, but I don't think she ever heard me. She slipped in. Rod swallows. He clenches one of his hands into a fist. She fell into the river. I dived in after her. I somehow managed to get both of us into the riverbank, but it didn't look like Viorka was breathing. I didn't know what to do. I started panicking. I ran off to try and find help, but I couldn't find anyone in the storm. When I returned, she was gone. I rushed to her house, and a doctor was already there tending to her along with Desmond. Rod's gaze is vacant as he nods. So he saved her life and Desmond took credit. Damn! I mean, Desmond probably found her lying there and, didn't realize that someone was... but still, she's kind of shady. When Viorka began to fall in love with Desmond, I felt helpless. Did you not tell her that you were the one that saved her? Why would I? Viorka was so happy believing that she and Desmond were fated to be together. I couldn't do that to her. But surely if you told her... Rod interrupts me. I want the people I love to be happy. I don't care if their happiness causes me pain. I'd rather bear that alone instead of bringing down those around me. My chest aches as I watch Rod's face. I never would have guessed that Rod would be so... selfless. But that didn't stop me from thinking that I could still make her love me instead. I decided to become what I thought Viorka wanted most. Prince Charming of the fairy tales she so adored. And so I asked a witch to turn me into one. She stole my voice in exchange. Only then did I realize that she inflicted the fairy tale curse upon me. A mermaid's curse. Next day the king turned up at our house, proclaiming that he'd been looking for my mother for years, that he'd never stopped loving her. When the king married my mother, became a prince, just as the witch promised. But it didn't matter. I didn't see it when I made the deal with the witch, but I couldn't be blind to it forever. Desmond and Viorka really do love each other. They make each other happy. Nothing I can do will ever change that. Rod,
Prince Rod? Oh!
Parfait pauses in her tracks when she sees me.
Have I interrupted something?
Yeah, Jesus! No. Rod moves over to Parfait, but he stops to glance back at me. I won't be long. Parfait looks at Rod, and then at me, her face puzzled, but she does not say a word as Rod and her leave the room. I didn't get the chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait and Delora about my suspicions of Sir Alcester. Days go by, but I still find myself overwhelmed by preparations for the ball. Things become more frantic every day, making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. Eventually, I decide to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Alcester. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they're looking for. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not well founded with him. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I've not heard anyone mention his name here for a very long time. I'm forcefully pulled from my thoughts when I collide with someone. The linens I've been holding scatter all over the floor. Excuse me, I look up and my voice trails off when I see who I bumped into. I think it's him, because he's got the diamond fucking shit all over him. Look, we got a plum bob right here. He's got them all over, yeah. Lost in your thoughts. Sir Mithros looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. I suppose those are the linens the queen asked for. Yes, please excuse me. I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one, Sir Mithros picks it up first. Allow me to help you. I will be fine. But this was partially my fault. Let me assist you. I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mithros helps me gather the rest of the linens. I'm contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mithros has been talking. I don't suppose you have any idea who that maid is. Maid? There's a cold amusement in Sir Mithros' gaze. Surely you've heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with a royal maid somewhere around town. Rumor has it that Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has. Rod with a maid. As far as I'm aware, the only maid he's been out with in town has been... I freeze as Sir Mithras straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some of the linens to me. If it is true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal is the last thing we need right now. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mithras as he inclines his head to me. Have a good day, Spacey. I walk to the dining hall in a haze, my mind whirling with the implications of what Sir Mithras just said. I'm sure it was those noble women who spread this rumor. Spacey, thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy after placing the linens down as commanded. If that is all. Spacey, I straighten at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up, I see that her expression is carefully still. I'm about to ask you something that you might not want to answer, but I very much hope you will. I'll answer if I can. Good. Ophelia sighs as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hand in her lap. I've been trying to ignore it since palace gossip is mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask you about your relationship with my son. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened? Explain the situation or dismiss the gossip? I feel like we should I don't know. God, I really want to make sure I get the right decision so we get a good ending, you know what I mean? But Rod's hard to read. Sometimes it's like, no, don't tell him. So maybe it would have been better not to, I don't know. I think we should explain the situation. I dismiss the gossip. Gossip is just stupid. But I feel like we should explain and be like, look, I was out on my own. And these women were being assholes. I stood up to them and he came along and that was all that happened. If Phil is asking me about these rumors, then I can only imagine what sort of story those women made up. Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noble women, he stopped to intervene. And that's all. Rod said the same thing. Then why did you ask me, Your Majesty? To see what you thought about this situation. I don't think anyone should get a say in what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod? I like you, Spacey, and I'm certain you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I'd let him court you. She's like, I feel heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Where there's love, there's hope. Social status shouldn't stop you from being happy, Spacey. Yeah, it's okay, because I'm going to be a princess again, and... Or maybe my thing is like, you get to be a princess because you marry Rod. Yay! And your dad will always forget you and no one will remember that you existed. And that would kind of suck and be weird, but... Then what about the fact that I'm Rod's stepsister? That's a stepsister thing, it's fine. A little weird, but meh. I bite down on that statement fiercely. I already know what role I'm playing here and I can't break it. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I'll not push you on this any further. But be careful, Spacey. Your closeness with my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe in limiting relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move toward the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not going unnoticed? Later that day, as I'm waiting outside the throne room for Emmaline to finish one of her classes, two maids walk toward me and stop in front of me. Spacey, isn't it? What is it? I've already finished all of my tasks for the day. Oh, I'm sure you have. Probably rushed through all of them so you could hang around with the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper's been giving you a lighter load so you can afford the time to play around. I blink at them confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Princess Emmaline's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. I'd be careful not to get too big for your boots, Spacey. Are you threatening me? What if we are? Then I'd be very disappointed in you. Oh, that's Emmaline.
Then I'd be very disappointed in you.
I didn't know who was talking, so. But Princess Emmaline! I love how everyone's always being a bunch of dicks, and somebody always shows up and be like, stop being dicks. I just love how everybody who's being an asshole gets caught being an asshole. Like, it's very convenient. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to be like, oh my god, it's so convenient that every single time someone's threatening her, someone else sees. But I like it. I think it's fucking amazing. Like, normally I would be annoyed by that. Like, oh yeah, okay, right, because there's always somebody there. But it's great, because it's like they're being assholes, and you're like, I just want to punch them in their faces, but I can't do it, because that wouldn't be a good deed. And then somebody just comes along and is like, so, why you being dickholes? I love it. Ha 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 ha! In your face! I don't have to punch you now! Woo! My good deed is restraining myself from punching these bitches. Emmaline moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face.
I did not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Your Highness. You really do have a talent for getting yourself in trouble. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maids. Don't you have better things to do than bully my sister's maid?
We apologize, Your Highness. We'll be on our way.
The two maids run off. Emmaline turns to look at me.
Are you okay?
I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod is abruptly walking away from us. I frown at his back. He'd only just started being nice to me, and now he's back to acting as if I don't exist. What did I do? He's just sad because of the curse thing. I think he thinks if he breaks his curse... Well, but the thing is, he can't break his curse, because he can't break his curse because he would have to get Viorca to fall in love with him, right? Probably. I mean, who knows what the stipulations are for his curse? But, I mean, obviously, he made the wish that he wanted to be a prince, and he's thinking, okay, if Viorca falls in love with him, and the curse breaks, then he wouldn't be a prince anymore, and his mother wouldn't be married to the king, and like, he doesn't want them to be unhappy. But Emmaline is unhappy being a princess. But his mother's happy with the king. And the king is already happy. So it's kind of like he made that wish and the witch cursed him. But the thing is, I think it's weird. Like, I don't think that even if he broke his curse, he would stop being a prince. Because the king was always in love with Ophelia. Our mother just forced him into marrying her, saying that she would kill Ophelia. So once our mother died, and then it was like, she's dead, sweet, I can go get that, and he got Ophelia back, I think he would have done that anyway, whether Rod made the deal or not. You know what I mean? It just happened to work out perfectly for the witch to curse him. But he can't confess his love to Viorca because she's happy with Decimond, and he's like, I was in love with her, but she's happy with that, but he's falling in love with us now. So what happens when we fall in love? I don't know. He'd still be a prince, technically. Even if his curse broke, he would still be a prince. You know what I mean? Like, even if his curse completely reversed and the king never went and married the baker woman, never married Ophelia, he would still end up being a prince if we marry him. So I'm just saying. I don't know. Emmaline puts her hand on my back and gently pushes me forward.
You wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes.
Emmaline smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open.
I have a few more questions to ask my teacher. I'll be a while.
But she disappears into the throne room before I can finish. I glanced down the hallway. Rod just disappeared down, and then back at the throne room. My thoughts whirl together in a vague mess until I make my decision. Wait! At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns and looks at me. He scowls but doesn't say anything. Tell him off for his behavior or say nothing. I don't know what to do. This is going to be one of those situations where one's going to be a good answer and one's going to be one's going to be right and one's going to be drastically. I'm so concerned. So it's so hard. It's so hard because you just want to get a good thing. But okay, if we tell him off, that could be good because we could be like, "Hey, stop being a dick," and he's like, "You're right. I was being a dick." And I feel like that's something she would do. But Say nothing, but then what would be the point of chasing him down? Honestly, right? What would be the fucking point of chasing him down just to say nothing to him? I feel like we should probably... Oh, God. Oh, God. You know what? I'm going to tell him off. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I don't want to. Like, there's a part of me that's like, no, because that sounds like, the fuck is wrong with you? And he's be like, wow, you're being mean. And I don't want to be mean. She doesn't need to be mean. But she still has to be somewhat herself. Hi, birdie. You made weird noises. Are you stretching? But if we say nothing, we just run after him. He's like, what? And you're like, and you just turn around and walk away. You know what I mean? Like, you chased after him for a reason. Fuck it. The words spill out of me before I can even think on them. Maybe it'll wise him up and he'll stop being a dick. What have I done now to make you angry with me? Nothing. He turns away and I glare as I follow closely behind him. You expect me to believe that? You can at least look at me when I'm talking to you. I reach out a hand to his elbow and pull him back so that he's facing me. Rod, but the words die in my throat when I see the expression on his face. His face is red and he refuses to look me in the eye. My surprise causes me to release him. Rod quickly turns around and begins to walk away. I'm left to stare dumbly after him. What is wrong with him? Normally he's not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dull ache throbbing somewhere deep in my chest. She's like, I don't understand. What is in my chest? She doesn't have a heart, you know what I mean? She doesn't know what it feels like. What is this? Why do I feel sad? Because you actually care about someone and they hurt you. You don't know what this is. Why do I feel sad? What is this fucking sadness? Normally Rod's distance doesn't make me feel like this. And yet now... Am I really so sad that he doesn't want to speak with me? I shake my head and take a deep breath to still my mind. It's better not to think about it. Oh God, are we going to get our last good deed at the ball? And then everything's going to be revealed? I don't know. I don't know how many chapters there are. Hold on, I actually want to see if I can find out how many chapters there are. Chapters. Let's see. I'm just going to quickly look up. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, here. This is just a guide. And let's just... I'm just going to pick a normal... I'm not looking at Rod's route. I'm just looking... Okay, that chapter... I'm actually looking at Karma's route. Karma's got 10 chapters. Rumple's got 10. Okay, alright. So there's 9 chapters with choices, and then the 10th must be your ending. Because, yeah, so... Okay, so there's 9 chapters, and then the 10th one... Okay, close that. Okay, so there's 9 chapters. I just wanted to see how many chapters there were, so we've got one more chapter left. So maybe, like, another part? All of the games I've been playing lately, every single path is really motherfucking short. Like, everything. I'm like, oh my god. Anyway. It's the day of the ball, and I'm waiting for Emmaline to finish her last dance rehearsal. The lesson was over an hour ago, but Emmaline remains here to continue practicing the steps. Meanwhile, I'm preoccupied with thoughts of Rod's curse. I'm preoccupied with being scared that we made all the wrong fucking choices. We're in a bad ending. I don't know. I mean, so far it seems like it's going okay, but I don't know. I can't believe that Rod traded his voice for a title. So the reason the king was able to find Ophelia was because of Rod. It's a little difficult to wrap my head around the implications, but one thing bothers me. Rod told me why he has the curse, but gave no explanation as to how to break it. How did it go in the original fairy tale? Emmaline finishes the last 2 steps of her routine before walking over to me. I hand her the glass of water I was holding for her. Thank you, Spacey! Emmaline must notice my curiosity because she stops to look at me quizzically. Is something the matter? I read a little bit of that fairy tale but never finished it. Can you tell me the whole story of the Little Mermaid? Little Mermaid? Emmaline takes a seat on one of the chairs bordering the throne room and gestures for me to take the one opposite her. Telling a fairy tale is always a good way to wind down.
Once upon a time, there was a mermaid that fell in love with a handsome prince. One day, when she swam to the surface of the ocean to find him, she saw that the prince was celebrating his birthday on the grandest ship in the kingdom. The little mermaid was captivated by the human party and stayed to watch. Then suddenly, a violent storm hit and the prince was thrown from the ship into the ocean. The little mermaid saved the prince and took him safely to shore, but she couldn't stay long. She eventually had to return to the ocean and leave him on land.
This is similar to Viorka's rescue. It's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, kind of what happened.
The little mermaid was so in love with the prince that she went to a sea witch who offered to trade her a potion that would turn her mermaid's tail into legs. They struck a deal. The mermaid would sacrifice her beautiful voice for legs so that she could live with the prince on land.
So he traded his voice to become a prince so that he would be a prince that she loves in her stories. So in Rod's case, he traded away his voice to become a prince.
However, the sea witch gave the little mermaid a warning and said that if she wasn't able to make the prince fall in love with her, there would be consequences.
Consequences?
Yes, namely if the prince fell in love and married someone else, the mermaid's heart would break and she would dissolve into sea foam.
Oh my god. I can't help but recoil. My expression must betray my horror because Emmaline quickly shakes her head.
There's no need to be worried. Rod has said his curse is different from the fairy tale.
And you believe him? Emmaline shrugs helplessly as she puts down her now empty glass of water.
The fairy tale curse always twists the original fairy tale, right? Besides, it's not as if Rod traded his voice for legs, and I've never heard of a cursed person that dies because they can't break their curse.
It may be true, but Emmaline doesn't know that what Rod traded his voice for. She doesn't know that he did it to become prince for Viorka. Rod is already hiding things from her. Is it possible that Rod will die the day Viorka marries Desmond? Desamond. They forgot the I in that. Later that day, I find Rod in the dining hall. He appears to be inspecting the seating arrangement for the night's banquet. Oh god. Oh god. Don't die on me, Rod! I know he's not going to, but... He glances up briefly to look at me before returning his attention to the placards with the guest's name on them. What is it? I've been looking for you all morning. I'm distracted from what I'm about to say when I notice Rod switching the positions of two placards. I frown as I catch the name on one of them. He's moving Viorka's place at the table. Is he trying to make sure he sits as far away from him as possible? She sits as far away from him as possible. Surely you have better things to do than staying here. What happens if you can't break your curse? Rod's movements stutter before he shakes his head sharply. That's something you don't need to know. I feel like I want to plead with him for him to tell me. I don't want to get angry at him. It's something you don't need to know. Yes, it is. I don't want you to die. I feel like getting angry with him would be bad. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you not tell me? Plead with him. Come on, please tell me. We're supposed to be friends. And I feel like now it would be okay to... Plus, it's Rod we're talking about. Getting angry is not going to help. When your option is tell him off or say nothing, you tell him off. But when your options are like ask him nicely or punch him in the face, you ask him nicely. Something aches deep in my chest at Rod's coldness. Please. Rod startles so strongly that he almost drops the placard he's holding. Please tell me. We've been partners for months now. But I've barely... Yes, I know that it's an unusual partnership, and that most of our helping each other has been subtle, but... I'm only one good deed away from breaking my curse, while you seem to be no closer to breaking your curse than when we started. I'll do whatever I can to help you with your curse, Rod. So please, let me help you. Silence falls. Moments later, Rod sighs and looks away from me. Some unspeakably sad emotion shines through his eyes. Even if I wanted your help, Spacey, there's nothing you can do. Dread settles in the pit of my stomach at Rod's words. She's gonna die. I mean, well, when she gets married, he's gonna die. Could I be right? Will Rod actually die if he doesn't manage to break his curse? That's fucking sad. Emmaline told me the story of the Little Mermaid. She said the mermaid dies if the prince marries someone else. Rod, when Viorka marries Desmond, will you... My voice trails off when I hear the sound of the door behind us. Is it Ophelia or the king? Rod rushes forward and grabs me before I can glance back at the door. Ow! I become aware of a weight holding me down to the floor. Who is it? The door opens and he knocks us on the floor. Looks suspicious. The impact of the ground against my head blurs my vision, making it impossible for me to see what's happening at first. Am I underneath the dining table? I struggle to try to sit up, but the weight pushes down on me again, forcing me to be still. Quiet. I'm quiet. Rod, why did he push me underneath the table? I'm about to ask him aloud when the sound of footsteps silences me. I cannot help but remember what Sir Mithras was saying about rumors. If Rod and I were seen alone together by the servants, the rumors will no doubt get worse. But why is Rod doing this? I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to talk. How strange for this place to be empty at this time of day. There's a pause and then another voice speaks up. You better have good news for me, Mithros. Ha. Mithros and... Alcester, they're definitely together, but Mithros is the witch. I know he is. He's gotta be with the fucking plumb bobs all over him, you know? Sir Alcester and Sir Mithros? Rod's hands tighten on my shoulders. Everything's as you requested, Sir Alcester. There should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mithros. I'd be careful not to try my patience again. Yes, Sir Alcester. Sir Mithros sounds oddly subservient. Why? Two of them are both ranked equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king. Unless Sir Alcester truly is the witch, and is forcing Sir Mithras to obey him with a spell. Wait a few moments after I leave. We should not be seen together. I don't hear Sir Mithras respond, but I can hear Sir Alcester leaving the room. Sir Mithras sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mithras. This is bad. I was so engrossed in Sir Alcester and Sir Mithras' conversation that I only just now realized that Rod is hovering over me. Oh god, CG? I was gonna say CG of him hovering over us under the table. Are you alright? Hey, are you alright? Are you hurt? You look a little... Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our positions. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. The bunny's like, hee! Sebby's like, I shouldn't be watching. He scrambles out from underneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he's standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He's bright red. It'd be funny if I weren't sure I was the same color. Rod clears his throat. That would have been worse to be caught under the table with him on top of you. You know what I mean? Be like, look under the table. You know what? That's worse than just standing in the same room together. It seems that Sir Alcester really is the witch if he has the ability to make Sir Mithras obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately. Rod turns on his heel to leave the dining room. Rod, wait! What? This is urgent, Princess. I can't just... When Viorca marries Desmond, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell from his pained expression that he'll not speak.
You're running out of time, Rod.
My eyes flip between Sebby and Rod. What does that mean? Nothing. He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Maybe it's not like if she's gonna marry, but, you know, true love's kiss can break all curses, right? Watched too many Disney movies. But I'm just saying, maybe there's a possibility, because, like, maybe Viorica can marry Desmond, but if he falls in love with somebody else, and is okay with them getting married, then it's not gonna, you know what I mean? Because I'm just saying, like, we're, like, gonna fall in love with a boy who's, like, in love with some other girl. I'm not down with that shit. I mean, it happens. You're like, oh, I like this guy. Oh, he likes someone else. Okay. But eventually, like, he gets over her, and then maybe he likes you, and then you're like, okay. But then you're like, but are you really over her? Because most of the time they're not. Are you sure you're over her? Because... yeah, you know, I'm just saying. Been there, done that. I don't think you're over her. I'm pretty sure that bitch calls you up and is going to be like, you know what, I broke up with my boyfriend, I want to be with you. Your ass is gone and he's gone too. Just saying. Because men suck. but like, he's resigned to like, you know what, I'm not going to steal Viorica away. She's really happy with Desmond and that's great. But I have this curse because I wanted to marry her and be in love with her, and now she's going to marry someone else, and I'm going to die, so that sucks. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? Maybe you could fall in love with someone else. Like me. Hi. I used to be a bitch, but I'm kind of nice now. Still a little bit of a bitch, but like nicer about it anyway. Like, I don't. He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Rod, there must be something in my voice that makes Rod stop because he turns to look at me. Please stop running away from this. What would knowing the answer achieve, Spacey? But Rod's words are harsh, his tone is soft. There's nothing anyone can do. Leave it alone, Spacey. It's for the best. I can't help but get mad at Rod's dismissive tone. I move toward him, frowning. How can you say something like that? You're not the only person that'll be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister? To your mother? Losing you would destroy them, and a little bit me. Rod's face is suddenly inches away from mine. He places his hand to the wall behind me, caging me in. Oh, I love it when they get all violent and shove me against a wall. I gotta fan myself. His face is I want that CG. His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented. My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think I don't know what effect my curse has on the people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too. His voice is a whisper, but I can still hear his words. Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but then he still does nothing to try and break his curse. I don't understand him at all. What's stopping him? This is when you go to Parfait and ask. Like, what is... You said there's something... Like, I understand his curse. He told me about it. He won't tell me what happens when she marries him. I can only make the assumption, but what other way is there to break it? Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day and returns only once the sun is set to prepare for the ball. I've not been able to talk to him since, but I assume that he's been to the Marchen to tell Delora and Parfait about our suspicions of Sir Alcester being a witch. I hope they can come up with an effective plan for dealing with him. The palace is not safe as long as he's here. The ball is just about to start that evening. I don't think Fritz has anything to do with it. He's cursed, but I don't think Marchen is the witch. I think Mithros is the witch. Hi, because he's got the plum bobs all over him and that looks obvious. And also, I'm wondering if he's the witch that cursed Fritz. And I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Alcester is doing something in order to, like, get him to break the curse on his son. You know what I mean? Like, what is Fritz's curse? I'm curious. Toots curious. So, like, in the very beginning, you can see, like, the title page. We'll look at it after this part, but it shows like each it shows like a little diamondy piece thing, like little plum bobby thing, and a little thing, and you can see like a seashell, and you're like, oh, that's obviously Rod, it's the mermaid. And I know when it came up with the little tip about, oh, the right choice indicator, it was red, so I'm assuming that's Karma's, and which is a rose, which I'm assuming is like it was like the Beauty and the Beast curse or something. You know what I mean? Some kind of weird Beauty and the Beast curse. Like, I don't know how that works because he's gorgeous, but like, I don't know. But you know, it has a rose, and that's like the standard Beauty and the Beast thing. There's one that looks like a spinning wheel spindle, so I'm assuming that's a Sleeping Beauty curse. There's one with like a star, and that's probably Waltz's because he's got the Neverland curse. We know that. I forget what the other one is. Actually, Fritz could be the other one. Oh no, Fritz could be well, that's where I'm wondering. Well, he's never here, so maybe he's just passed out somewhere because he's got the Sleeping Beauty curse. I mean, who knows? But then there's another one that's got like a red cloak, so it's like a Red Riding Hood curse, as I'm assuming. So you're like, which one is Fritz? And which one is Rumple? Interesting. Rumple is almost like, I want to be like, the Red Riding Hood curse because he acts like the big bad wolf is like, I want to eat you. And he's like, I want to seduce you. Like, he's got some kind of appetites. It's just a little different, but I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out when we get down their paths, but... the ball is just about to start that evening, and I've been asked to make sure none of the guests are lost and wandering the hallways. I've been walking around for a while, directing any late guests in the right direction. That should be everyone. But as I turn the corner, I notice two people lingering by a column. Excuse me, the throne room is... I pause when I look more closely at the two men in front of me. I recognize one of them instantly. What is Sir Alcester doing outside the throne room? And who is that man he's with? That is not me. Doesn't that look like what's his face? The other guard guy? Uh-huh. That's not like Waltz in his like adult form, is it? Nah, it's gotta be some kind of witch. He's got diamonds on him. Anytime I say, you've got a diamond shape on you, and diamond shaped in his eye pattern. And then there's like a wolf on his cane. Oh, maybe that could be Mithros. But his hair is normally like a greenish kind of tinge to it. But maybe this is his witch form. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe he was disguising himself, right? Because he said a glamour. And this makes me wonder then if Fritz has like the Red Riding Hood curse. Because like, hello, maybe he's the witch that cursed him. He's got the wolf on his cane. Spacey trying to make all sorts of connections of nothingness. Anyway. Spacey. Sir Alcester gestures me toward him and I approach warily. This is Varg. He's one of the guests for the ball. Uh-huh. Are you? Who are you really? Varg sweeps aside his cape as he bows, and I curtsy and dip my head to hide my expression. I like how they just do a little loot when they bow. Like, it's really cute. Or curtsy. It's just a nice little thing. I've not heard of a Varg, and why would he be bowing to a mere maid? Also, why is he wearing such an elaborate costume and mask? This is not a masquerade ball. If Varg is an acquaintance of Sir Alcester's, there's no telling what or who he truly is. Varg is one of the suitors for Princess Emmaline. Would you please escort him to the throne room? I'll be along shortly. Varg's politeness is even more suspicious. Of course, Sir Alcester. I meet Varg's gaze briefly and cannot help but frown at the way he's smirking at me. Is he? Who are you really? This way. Varg and I make our way towards the throne room. I cannot help but feel wary of the fact that he's following behind me where I can't see him. Here's the thing. It's not like he can kidnap you here because there's a bazillion fucking people. Even if they're all in like the throne room or whatever in the dining hall, like whatever. There has got to be people milling about. There's got to be a million servants. This is a fucking palace. You should not be able to have a conversation in a hallway with Rod without 500 fucking people around. That's all I'm saying. Like, this place is motherfucking huge. If the maids are this lovely, the princess must be truly beautiful. Varg laughs and I grit my teeth at the sound. What? It was meant as a compliment. There's no need to look at me like that. Varg looks at me curiously. Are the maids not allowed to speak in this place? I have nothing to say. Not the most cheerful person on staff, are you? Thankfully, the doors to the throne room appear as soon as we turn a corner, and I don't have to come up with a response to his words. We're here. I gesture toward the throne room and move to leave, but Varg's voice stops me. You should at the very least escort me inside and introduce me to the princess, don't you think? Isn't that what a maid should do? Technically, that's the announcer's job. But Varg came so late he probably already missed the introductions. I wouldn't want to think badly of any of the servants at the palace. I take a deep breath to calm myself down before turning toward the doors. Follow me. I'm sorry. Follow me, sir! I can tell the moment I step into the room that the official introductions have already passed. Most of the guests have already begun to mingle and scatter across the throne room as the band sets up. No one notices when I walk into the throne room in front of Varg. I don't trust Varg, not if he's associated with Sir Alcester. I might have time to warn someone about him while he's distracted, but who? Warn... Well, he's here for Emmaline, so we should warn her, right? Plus, it would look suspicious if we talk to Rod and it's Emmaline's ball. We're her maid. We'll do this. I don't know why that just... Warn Emmaline. Girl, watch out for yourself. We ladies have to stick together. My attention's quickly drawn to where Emmaline is moving between groups of people, introducing herself and making light conversation. I know this will be frowned upon, but Emmaline's safety must come first. I make my way quickly over to Emmaline and curtsy just off to the side, trying to draw as little attention to myself as possible. Princess Emmaline, may I have a word? Oh, it's butterflies. There's lots of butterflies out today. It's really pretty. I just saw something fly. I was like, what is that? Emmaline is clearly shocked at my intrusion, but she masks it well.
Excuse me. It appears my maid has something for me.
Why didn't they give her a new seat? Like, they could have given her a new Sprite with a pretty ball gown. Jesus. I draw her closer to the walls where the crowd blocks us from view.
I wasn't expecting you to be here, Spacey. Not that I mind, but won't you get into trouble?
There's no time for that. I take her hand in mine and look at her somberly. You have to watch out for a man in a mask. Sir Alcester brought him to the ball.
Why should I be worried then?
I can't exactly tell her that I think he's a witch right now. There are too many people looking. Just please be wary of him.
I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about from anyone here, Spacey, especially if Sir Alcester's involved.
On the contrary, if Sir Alcester's involved, I would also recommend staying on your guard, Emmaline.
Rod?
I turn in shock to see Rod suddenly standing beside me. You should trust Spacey. Excuse me. I jump back at the sound of Varg's voice. Rod takes a step forward and places his hand on my shoulder to steady me. I don't believe we've been introduced. Varg looks at me for a few moments, but I say nothing. He eventually turns to Emmaline, a wolfish smile on his face. Yeah, right? My name is Varg. Such a sexy name. Varg! Varg! Sounds like something you're doing. You're trying to hack up some phlegm. You know, sorry. Like Emmaline! We like her now, so it's just Emmaline. This game's kind of fun. You must be Princess Emmaline. The tales of your beauty did not do you justice. I'm gonna vomit. I'm being Spacey, and also Spacey. Like I'm being both of us right now. Emmaline flushes as Varg reaches for her hand. I mean, he's handsome, don't get me wrong. But he presses a kiss to the back of it, still grinning. I can feel Rod tense behind me. May I have the first dance? Emmaline bites down on her lower lip as she stares at him. I become acutely aware of just how quiet the throne room has become. She can't refuse him with so many people watching her. I feel sick, but I can't bring myself to say anything more as Emmaline puts her hand in Varg's.
I accept, Lord Varg.
The moment Emmaline makes her way to the center of the dance floor, a man signals the band and the musicians start playing. This feels wrong. I can only nod as I watch Varg pull Emmaline closer. At first, it's just he and Emmaline dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. I don't like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreamy smile on Emmaline's face as certainly as I can. When the music stops, both of us move as one toward Emmaline. Even though the dance is over and Varg has released her, they still stand close together in the center of the room. The silence is interrupted when the double doors open and Sir Alcester, along with two knights, stalk into the center of the room where Emmaline and Varg stand. Their arrival causes an uneasy stir in the crowds. The king rises from his throne, eyebrows drawn. Alcester, is there some kind of disturbance? Alcester says nothing as the knights stationed around the room approach Emmaline and Varg and stand around them, encircling them. Emmaline's expression shifts from confusion to fear. The crowd becomes even more anxious. I mean, I am too. I'm so nervous. Alcester, explain this? Alcester briefly glances at him but says nothing. He turns back to his knights and snaps his fingers. The knights pull out their swords and point them at Emmaline. I reach out to grab Rob's hand. Rob. I don't know why I'm fucking up his name, like calling him Red and Rob and like... Oh my god, anyway. Rod's hand before he can make his way toward her. Rod, it's too dangerous. I know, but thoughtless actions have the potential to put Emmaline in even more danger. Rod's only response is to tighten his grip on my hand. I place my other hand over his to reassure him, and slowly but surely his grip begins to loosen. I turn my gaze back to the king. Alcester, stop this immediately! What do you think you're doing? Something I should have done a long time ago. I've been nothing but loyal to this kingdom, and all I've ever wanted for Angela is for Angela to thrive. But ever since the queen died, this kingdom has become weak. It's because you're a weak ruler, Gennaro. What? Okay, maybe he is a witch. I thought Mithros was a witch! The people were more productive back then, more disciplined during the late queen's reign. The kingdom has become less productive without fear to drive them. When there's power, there's order. We're gonna, like, jump in front of fucking Emmaline and, like, get stabbed for her, and that's gonna be our last. I'm just guessing. I mean, come on. Oh, look, and then I'm magically alive, and, like, Princess Spacey, where have you been? Why are you dressed like a maid? Fuck all y'all! Like, power's not something that should be needlessly used to control people. It's used to protect them. You of all people should know that. Sir Alcester shakes his head. I of all people know that order is what makes a hierarchy stronger. I'm only doing what's necessary. I am reorganizing the system. Hand over the crown, Gennaro. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think you just, like, stab the king and take his crown and you're like, I'm the king now! Like, I don't think that works that way. It would go to Emmaline, and then if she gets stabbed, it would go to Rod, and then if he gets stabbed, then I guess there would be, like, some kind of, like, hierarchy somewhere. But you'd have to kill a lot of people, Alcester, is all I'm saying, I think. I don't think it works this way. That's not how it works! That's not how any of this works! Sir Alcester turns his head to Varg, who remains standing beside a scared Emmaline. Fucking Emmaline, we warned you, bitch! Look, I warned her, man, okay? I did my good deed. You will obey me if you don't want your precious daughter harmed. Please, leave my daughter out of this. Emmaline steps back, her eyes now brimming with tears. Varg sees the princess. As soon as Sir Alcester gives the order, Rod immediately lets go of my hand and rushes toward his sister. Rod, no! I quickly follow after him, but Rod suddenly stops in his tracks. I bump abruptly into his back. Rod? Varg! Sir Alcester's booming voice echoes around the room, which has suddenly gone eerily silent. My eyes move to Varg, but he's standing motionless. What's happening? Finally, Varg smirks. He steps to the side, standing in front of Emmaline as if to block her from view. Sir Varg! So he's not on Alcester's side? So who is he? So confused. Who's our mystery man? You must be delusional, old man. I'm not letting you anywhere near the princess. I don't know a voice to give him. We've changed like a million times. He's a man of a million voices, okay? The knight's next movements are a blur as they rush at Sir Alcester. In mere moments as he's been disarmed and pinned to the ground. Several more knights have also appeared from behind to surround Sir Alcester. A man emerges from between the circle of knights. He moves to stand beside Varg and Emmaline. Oh. Sir Mithros looks at Sir Alcester disdainfully. What's the meaning of this, Mithros? We had a deal! The anger is now palpable in Sir Alcester's flushed face. Did we now? Mithros, explain yourself. Sir Mithros drops to one knee in front of the king. Of course, your majesty. He raises his head slightly to look at the king. See, I always thought he was kind of a smarmy bastard. I've known for a long while that the man you see before you is a traitor. I was even aware of his plans, but I couldn't tell you of them without any evidence. I know, he sounds too much like some of the other... I can't anymore. Like, I just can't, guys. I'm running out of voices. I'm like, I can't... I don't know... Like, the two of your knights had tried to inform you of these plans before, but we all looked down on them with disdain. I had to make sure that I didn't come unprepared like they did. Jurian and Garland. What? Both of them knew Sir Alcester's plans? Was that the reason why they were dishonorably discharged for false accusations? I knew enough of his plans that I could thwart it. That's why I thought the best way to reveal his dastardly ways was to craft a fake alliance with him. Really? Because I really thought he's a witch, though. He's some kind of witch or fairy or something going on. He's some kind of whatever. That's all I'm saying. Sir Varg and I have been working together to unravel Alcester's plans, your majesty. Varg is an invaluable accomplice. Wait, so Sir Mithros has been pretending to work with Sir Alcester this whole time? And so we arrive at the events of tonight. I apologize for undertaking the task without seeking your counsel, your majesty. But I could think of no better way to end this madness once and for all. You lying snake. Sir Mithros stands and turns to Alcester. He gestures at him dismissively. Seize him. The knight's next movements are a blur. The men rush Sir Alcester all at once, and in mere moments Sir Alcester has been disarmed and is now pinned to the ground. Isn't Sir Alcester a witch? Why is he not using his magic? Mithros, I'm indebted to you for saving us. The whole kingdom is. I only did what was necessary, Your Majesty. The king glances at the knights, then at Sir Alcester, his gaze steely. Take him away. Sir Alcester struggles uselessly against the knights as they drag him away. He's nearly out the door when he starts screaming at the king. Gennaro, you're a fool! That man is a witch! A snake! You cannot trust him! No, Alcester. I was wrong to put my trust in you. Even as Sir Alcester is pulled from the room, we can hear him babbling in the hallways about a witch. Sir Alcester never used any magic to escape. Was he truly not a witch? Are you all right, princess? I'm pulled from my thoughts when I hear Varg's voice. He's now trying to comfort a shaken Emmaline. I told you Mithros was the witch! I at least got that part right. I mean, he might not be evil, but he's still a witch. Maybe he's got some other dastardly plans, like, they don't trust me, and I got Sir Alcester,
Yes, it's all part of my plan.
I don't know. Anyway. For a few moments, he looks away and his eyes meet mine. He smiles, but it's fleeting, and moments later, his attention is back on Emmaline. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. So, I am going to wrap this part up here, like I said. I will see you guys next time. And hopefully we got our third good deed, because we got close to the end. So, anyway. So I'll see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.